Industry voice: scaling what works. Decarbonization does not begin at zero. For the first time in history, companies can dramatically cut emissions while strengthening operations and their bottom line. The technologies exist, they work, they're affordable. Yet too many organizations still treat decarbonization as a distant innovation challenge rather than an immediate business opportunity. The problem isn't a lack of solutions, it's how companies think about them, the innovation bias. Too many leaders suffer from innovation bias, the tendency to equate progress with novelty rather than measurable impact. The spotlight can be a powerful incentive. Pilot projects get press releases, startups get funded, frontier technologies dominate conference agendas. The innovator, whose technology may not be viable for a decade, tends to receive greater visibility than a leader championing an effective, but not flashy, efficiency program. When moonshots are the focus, proven solutions capable of delivering material emissions reductions within existing capital cycles are dismissed as incremental. The result is distorted capital allocation, with budgets that do not deliver as much value as they could in terms of both economic and environmental benefits. The truth is that decarbonization follows a path of diminishing returns. For many companies, the first 40 to 65% of emissions reductions are achievable with existing technologies, operational improvements, and commercially viable electrification. Moving from 65% to 80% reduction becomes disproportionately harder and more capital-intensive. Beyond that point, the marginal cost of eliminating residual emissions can exceed the cost of durable carbon removal. At that stage, the constraint may be capital discipline as much as technical feasibility. Arguments for prioritizing investments in breakthrough solutions today to solve the final 10% tomorrow often overlook this economic asymmetry. Experimental technologies carry real uncertainties: scalability, cost trajectories, regulatory acceptance, unintended consequences, and timelines that extend beyond most corporate planning horizons. Those risks should not be overlooked, as the innovation bias crowds out greater investment in the immediate deployment of solutions that are already viable. We need to prioritize near-term impacts. Near-term reductions matter more than you think. Climate science is clear. A ton of carbon avoided today has greater impact than a ton avoided in 2035. Immediate action prevents additional atmospheric accumulation and associated warming over the intervening years. Seen through this lens, prioritizing pragmatism over novelty does not signal a lack of ambition, it signals urgency. There is a legitimate case for directing innovation budgets toward hard-to-abate hotspots that cannot be addressed with current tools. What is harder to justify is allowing long-term bets to delay reductions achievable within the current capital cycle. The opportunity cost of waiting is rarely quantified, but it is material. A sustained pattern of near-term reductions can reshape an organization's emissions trajectory more reliably than a single distant target. Decarbonization is not a straight line to zero. It is a sequence of reductions that compound environmentally and financially, delivering savings today, reducing exposure to energy price volatility, and lowering future abatement costs. This is not an argument against innovation. It is an argument for more thoughtful sequencing and capital efficiency. The business case for boring: it would be impractical to advise mid-sized manufacturers or regional logistics providers to emulate the frontier experiments of global tech powerhouses that tend to make headlines. Most organizations do not have the capacity to absorb technological risks, particularly if they have an uncertain or long-term payoff. Rather than ask about the newest ideas, a more useful question is this: what were today's sustainability leaders doing 10 to 15 years ago? In many cases, leaders were deploying solutions that are now mature, affordable, and scalable across much broader segments of industry. Those now proven decarbonization strategies are poised to compete under similar financial criteria as other capital projects, which can shift sustainability from a cost center to a value driver. By lowering costs, improving operational reliability, and supporting safer working conditions, sustainability efforts deliver on core business objectives beyond emissions reduction alone. Many organizations already have the tools needed to materially reduce emissions, but have not deployed them at scale. For example, we implemented an advanced HVAC controls upgrade, optimizing temperature control systems, and integrating intelligent automation at one of our manufacturing plants. Those changes are reducing annual electricity use by approximately 2.7 million kilowatt hours and natural gas consumption by 13,800 MMBTU, translating to annual cost savings of roughly $250,000 in utility incentives, and is avoiding an estimated 1,900 metric tons of CO2e emissions per year. Across sectors, industrial heat pumps not only allow more nuanced controls, but also buffer companies from unpredictable fluctuations in the price of fossil fuels. Similarly, fleet optimization, compressed air management, lighting upgrades, and building envelope improvements all deliver value. Battery energy storage systems can provide backup power, buffer facilities against grid instability, support demand response programs, and manage peak electricity pricing. Warehouse operations illustrate this clearly. Electrifying forklifts can reduce emissions while lowering fuel and maintenance costs, simplifying operations and improving noise levels and indoor air quality, which is key for worker health. One source suggests that propane forklifts cost $20 to $40 per shift compared to $25 per shift for an electric counterpart, which also lowers annual maintenance costs from $3,000 to $6,000 for propane to $1,000 to $2,500 for electric forklifts, while significantly decreasing emissions and noise. In cold chain logistics, refrigeration controls, refrigerant management, improved dock practices, and road or fleet optimization can reduce diesel idling, noise, fuel consumption, and refrigerant-related emissions without waiting for full electrification of heavy-duty transport. Delivery fleets commonly idle transport refrigeration units 40 to 50% of the time while parked at distribution centers, burning diesel just to maintain temperature. Electrification is even more powerful when paired with renewable energy. Many companies, including mine, are investing in on-site solar to advance energy security, cost management, and operational resilience while reducing exposure to energy risk. Others are turning to power purchase agreements, which can help businesses hedge against market volatility while reducing Scope 2 emissions. These tools are all commercially available today, and many have relatively short payback periods. The takeaway is that incremental does not mean insignificant. From PR to performance. Despite a growing number of climate commits, fewer than 40% of listed firms globally are on emissions trajectories aligned with limiting warming to well below 2 degrees Celsius. Disciplined capital allocation toward ready-now solutions can enhance credibility by lowering emissions in the near term. Decarbonization does not begin at zero. So the central question is not which breakthrough technology will close a marginal gap on a distant net zero roadmap. It is which proven solutions are being overlooked today. Sam Sharoff is focused on advancing high-impact programs as the head of global sustainability for Enersys, the industrial technology leader in mission-critical stored energy solutions that meet the growing need for energy reliability and sustainability.